Chicago's won the toss, selected to receive. Mason Crosby puts a foot on it, and the rookie Johnny Knox from the 9. And good coverage there on the kickoff coverage team by Green Bay. So Jay Cutler came over from the Denver Broncos in a trade during the offseason, a league-high 20 interceptions. Who would have thought it before this season began?
Well, and that's been the Achilles heel for them, along with the struggles on defense and the inability to run the ball. He's had to force the ball down the field and has turned it over way too much for a team that thought of itself as a playoff caliber team.
Cutler out of the shotgun on first down and finds an open receiver, a gain of 9 to Devin Aromashadu, who gets a start today in place of the injured Devin Hester. Hester, you remember, had to leave the game against St. Louis last week with a mild calf strain. They were hoping he would be back. Keep an eye on Greg Olsen, very talented third-year tight end out of Miami. And again, no Orlando Pace at left tackle. So Chris Williams starts over there for a second straight week. And Kevin Schaefer starts at right tackle. Cutler again to throw on second down, and this one incomplete, bringing up third down. Green Bay, statistically anyway, the #1 ranked defense in the NFL. B.J. Raji starts in place of the injured Ryan Pickett. A pair of rookies at linebacker. Brad Jones on one side. Clay Matthews leads him in sacks on the other side. And Charles Woodson having a Defensive Player of the Year-like season for Green Bay. On a 3rd and 2, they give it to Forte. And this stingy Packer defense drops him for a loss, led by Cullen Jennings.
Right from the get-go, Green Bay is just, they got people all over the place. It's very difficult to run the ball in this situation. You got so many people moving around in nickel situations. Sometimes it's hard for the offensive line to say, okay, you got that guy, I'll take this guy.
Cullen Jenkins, along with Ryan Pickett and Johnny Jolly, for that matter, B.J. Raji, all nicked up in the victory last week. A rough and tumble victory over the Baltimore Ravens. Pickett, the only member of that quartet not in the lineup today. Jordy Nelson tries to break it to the outside, still on his feet, and a pretty nice return tackled at the 38-yard line. What a season it has been for Aaron Rodgers when you consider it's only his 2nd full year as the starting quarterback, taking over, of course, for the departed Brett Favre. The numbers are just sensational. 25 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions.
And what makes that more impressive is in the number of attempts. Guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, obviously at the top of their game, they're going to attempt well over 600 throws this year. He's well under that. His efficiency is outstanding.
Out of the I formation, John Kuhn and Ryan Grant will give it to the latter, and he burst off the left side. One man to beat down the sideline, and into the end zone is Ryan Grant. A 62-yard touchdown run on Green Bay's first offensive play of the game.
They motion down to the edge here, they motion down to the edge here and collapse the defense. For whatever reason, the safety ran over the top, and Ryan Grant was able to get into that second level. Chicago knew that they were going to be tried to have the ball run down their throat by the Green Bay Packers. It's something the Packers wanted to establish, and boy, this is not the way Chicago wanted to start, giving up a huge run like that.
Ryan Grant all smiles. Why not? A 62-yard touchdown run, the longest rushing play of this season for the Green Bay Packers. This time Danielle Manning set to return the kickoff by Crosby. And a yard deep in the end zone, Manning to bring it out. Spins out of one tackle and is dropped at the 25-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown run just a moment ago.
Well, you can see here, Chicago has built that classic 8-man box. They've got Bullock down in there, and now later on I want you to watch the fullbacks block as well. Now, I have no idea where Bullock is going, but right here as he gets through it, again, we've said it many times, 8-man front is fine, but if you get behind those 8 guys, there's nothing between you and the goal line but a lot of green grass.
Then Grant lost his footing. Thankfully, no injury there for Ryan Grant. Bears going to run it, give it to Forte on first down, and a nice pickup for the second-year tailback out of Tulane. That's a first down out to the 37-yard line. Some of these numbers are hard to believe. You look at home, 9 touchdown passes for Cutler, only 3 interceptions. 17 picks outside of Soldier Field.
Wow, and I don't care if you're home, away. I don't care if you're in your backyard. 17 picks is not going to get it done. Sometimes it has to do with the caliber of the opponents. Yeah, see, this is the type of thing that just drives you nuts and kills the impetus of any drive. The Chicago Bears.
Ball start. Offense number 68. 5-yard penalty is still first.
And it sounds awful simple, but it's like, what didn't you understand when I said it was on 1? You know, it's kind of that little attention to detail that when you're a struggling 5-7 team, you knock off a great first down run. You got a 1st and 10, you're moving, and boom, now you're 1st and 15.
Well, they'll give it to Forte again, and there's H.A. Hawk filling the hole in the 4th-year linebacker out of Ohio State. Slams Forte to the deck. Now, some key inactives for both teams today. There you get a look at Devin Hester. We talked about the calf injury last week. They hoped he'd be ready to go. But inactive today, so too was Orlando Pace for a 2nd straight week. And we mentioned Ryan Pickett, the nose tackle. And much has been made about some of the back and forth going on between the rookie B.J. Raji and the 6-time Pro Bowl center of the Bears, Olin Kreutz. Cutler swings it to Forte. And a nice tackle made in the open field by Jared Bush. Of course, the Colts have already clinched a division championship, trying to nail down home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. And on 3rd and 11, blitz coming, Cutler in trouble, and he can run it. Across midfield, a flag is all the way back behind the line of scrimmage, perhaps nullifying the first down run by Jay Cutler.
Holding. Offense number 68. 10-yard penalty, still 3rd.
Right here, it's at the left guard position now. You watch him and they're bringing a whole bunch of folks. You can see pressure from the inside. Once that defender gets behind you, he kind of gets hooked in his arm right there. You know that's going to get called because it's so blatant. You're behind the guy, and all of a sudden he's impeded. He turns his shoulders. He only has one arm. The official looks and goes, you know what? I think he came into that play with 2 arms. This has got to be holding.
Franco Miguel, 2nd time he's been whistled for a penalty on this drive. 3rd and 21 now for Cutler and the Bears. That negates a 22-yard run for Jay Cutler. Set up the screen, and Forte nowhere to go. Read beautifully by the backup linebacker Desmond Bishop. And already early boos from the crowd here in Chicago.
Well, and it's less about the execution than the focus. And that drive right there, you had 2 penalties. Had a holding penalty. That's going to happen, obviously. But you started the drive, or started that particular series on first down, with a procedure penalty. And when you're 5-7, you just don't have that kind of margin for error.
Well, Brad Maynard on to punt for a 2nd time. Jordy Nelson stands at his own 25-yard line. They almost got it. Good field position again for Green Bay. Green Bay set to start a drive for the 2nd time. The last one lasted 1 play, and the Packers have been very good jumping on teams early and making the lead stand this season. Fake it one way. Rodgers rolls wide open across the middle is the tight end Donald Lee. And let's check the rest of Green Bay's starting lineup today. You talked about all the weapons. We've seen Ryan Grant, a 62-yard touchdown run. Driver, Jennings, Lee, along with your Michael Finley, a frequently used second tight end. And that line starting to get it together. Rodgers has still been sacked a league-high 45 times, but only 4 times in the last 3 games. Grant, another big run, dropped by Hillenmeyer, but not before he picked up close to 7. Chicago defensively. Ogunleye matched up this time with Mark Tauscher. You may remember he had 2 sacks in the season opener going up against Alan Barber. Lance Briggs back after missing last week's game. And in the secondary, Kevin Payne starting to play much better and back in the starting lineup, replacing Danielle Manning.
You know, in the Packers, when we visited with the Packers, what did they tell us, Tom? If there's one thing they'd like to get done in the next 4 weeks is really start to establish the running game. And they've done that pretty good here right from the get-go. And it was interesting, even Aaron Rodgers brought that up. Of course, he was being like most quarterbacks. I want to run the ball a little bit better so that I can play action it and set up the big play down the field.
All of a sudden, they're having some issues with the chain gang here. You used to get that thing knotted up, didn't you, when you were on offense, and then really stretch it out when you were.
You hated to have the chains on your sideline. You loved it because
why?
Because you had a better idea of how far you had to go on a 3rd and short or 3rd and long. But you kept running into those guys. Your focus is down the field, and they had to move, and you had to move, and it was just I just rather have them on the other side of the field. Put a little duct tape on it, they're fine.
Tape and aspirin to it, and off we go.
That's right. You're good. Move it on.
To Michael Finley in motion. They throw it the other way, and that's a first down reception made by Greg Jennings, his first catch of the afternoon.
Aaron Rodgers, for my money, is playing as well. Now, I'm not big into fantasy football, Tom, because when I got fired, I didn't get fantasy fired. It was for real fired. But, and I'm not a big fan of the quarterback rating system, but the fantasy numbers do tell you some things. Look at the names on that list. That tells you Aaron Rodgers is at the absolute top of his game.
Brandon Jackson checks in the backfield. Rodgers looking deep to Jennings, and he's got it in the back of the end zone. No, it came loose. Boy, that throw was right on the money by Aaron Rodgers.
That's a shame. That was as pretty a throw as you're going to see.
There is a penalty flag on the far side of the field in front of the Packer bench.
Jennings just straight down the field, almost like the skinny post, and Aaron Rodgers saw that he had
defense left tackle. 5-yard penalty is still first.
And I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers didn't recognize that was offside and said, you know what, he may or may not be open, but I'm going to take that shot. Ooh, I don't know. I'm looking at it right there. I'm not sure that shouldn't be challenged if I'm not Mike McCarthy. It looks like he had control 1-2. I'm not sure that he shouldn't challenge that.
It looks like he's thinking about it. He's got the flag in his right hand. And you called it, Brian Billick. He's going to challenge the ruling on the field. Greg Jennings you saw limped off.
Now let's remember, as he goes to look at this, and he's telling Mike Carey right now, here's what I saw. And again, you've got to be a little specific with the official. There's a lot of things going on, and you've got to tell him, here's what I'm questioning.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass being challenged by Green Bay.
Greg Jennings injured in the back of the end zone a moment ago. A challenge by Mike McCarthy, and now Mike Carey.
The receiver, while attempting to make the catch, was going to the ground, and in that process, lost the ball. Incomplete pass. Green Bay is charged for their first team timeout.
Now that one's got to, someone's got to explain that to me. This guy's not going to the ground trying to maintain control. It is a catch. 1 foot down, 2 foot down, third foot down. I'm in control with the 2 steps. I'm in the end zone. In my opinion, that's a touchdown, but my opinion doesn't count.
What they used to tell you on the sideline, the same thing, didn't they?
Wow, that's one on the next week. I'm going to send a TV copy and say someone needs to explain that one to me.
So it's 1st and 5. Brandon Jackson cuts it back to the inside. He'll be a yard or 2 shy of a first down. Green Bay getting a 62-yard touchdown run on their first play from scrimmage from Ryan Grant and the 7-0 lead midway through the opening quarter at Soldier Field.
The balance of this Green Bay Packer offense is what strikes you when you get a chance to look at the field. The balance, the group, the talented skill group we talked about they can go to. And they have tried to keep the run up. They're not a great running team, but they do run the ball effectively.
Grant, who just eclipsed the 1,000-yard rushing mark for the season, adds on to that inside the 25, down to the 23-yard line. Coming into the game, Grant needed 269 more yards this season to join Ahman Green and Jim Taylor as the only 3 backs in Packer franchise history with back-to-back 1,200-yard rushing seasons. Been a pretty nice find in the trade from the Giants.
Sure was, and that was a good trade for them because he's a solid back.
Grant again. Slips the tackle, but then stepping up to meet him is Nick Roach. Roach has played very well this year. Went into training camp 4th, maybe 5th on the depth chart at linebacker for the Bears, and because of injury, worked his way into more playing time in a starting role and has made the most of it.
Well, the rotation at linebacker, the loss of Urlacher, Tina Samoa, losing him, and then Mike Brown in the back end in the secondary, and not having him back there with the young Afalava coming in. There's been a lot of moving parts for the Bears to overcome defensively.
Timeout. Chicago, their first.
5:41 to play in the opening quarter. 7th play of this drive, and Green Bay with a 7-0 lead. It's 2nd and 11 at the Chicago 25-yard line. Rodgers a pump fake. And overthrew Greg Jennings, who was open in the end zone, and a flag is down. Of course, Green Bay saw more than enough penalties in that game last week against Baltimore. 23 penalties in that game last week.
Offense, only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. It has declined, brings up 3rd down.
And we talked to Mike McCarthy about this. The Green Bay Packers are the most penalized team in the National Football League. Now, penalties that happen during the course of the play, holding, pass interference, there's only so much you can do with that. It's the pre- and post-snap penalties that kill you, and that's exactly what this is. This is a pre-snap penalty, misaligned offensively. This is what they're going to have to reel in if they're going to continue on this playoff run.
There appears to be some confusion down on the field, and they've gotten it straightened out. 3rd and 11 for Green Bay. Blitz coming. Rodgers gets it away. And a first down, very close to a first down reception made by Jermichael Finley, an emerging star on this Packer offense.
Now, Jermichael Finley is a tight end, and when they displace him to the weak side, opposite of Driver and Jennings, they're looking for the matchup. Who are you going to put on this big tight end? A safety, a corner? How big is that corner? And that was exactly what Aaron Rodgers was waiting for, one-on-one on the backside with this big tight end, matching up with whoever they want to put on him.
Grant to the 10. That'll be a gain of close to 3. 2nd down for the Packers. Trying to add to this 7-0 lead. And in the red zone, how good has Aaron Rodgers been? Wow.
Well, this is impressive because, as we talk about many times, in the red zone, everything gets compressed. decisions have to be faster. The opening or the window for a completion becomes even tighter than in the open field. And when you can do that to that level of efficiency, it backs up what we're saying about, I don't know that there's anybody playing any better than Aaron Rodgers.
Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Israel Idonije or Alex Brown, one of the two, got a paw on it.
This is just a quick stab at a play fake right in here, trying to get the lineman to suck up down inside, but they're not having it. That's just a good job by Idonije coming to the outside, getting your hands up. Good instincts, good coaching. The minute you see the ball starts to go off, get your hands up, see if you can knock it down.
3rd and 7, 11th play of the drive. Rodgers dropped by Lance Briggs.
Chicago felt like coming in. They got 4 sacks in the first game. They felt like they could come in and run some stunts with their linebackers and their defensive lines to continue to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And here with a late blitz by Briggs, they get home to Aaron Rodgers. Got to him 4 times in the first game. You got the sense they were confident they could do it again when we visited with them on Friday.
34-yard field goal try is good for Mason Crosby. Packers in front of Chicago, 10-0. We mentioned if you include a playoff game, these two teams have met 179 times. Only once in the postseason. In fact, you have to go all the way back to 1 week after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor for the only time these two teams have met in the playoffs.
That's hard to imagine with all the matching. I know we played Chicago when I was in Minnesota twice in the playoffs, just in the 8 years I was in Minnesota.
Line drive kick. Handled at the 10-yard line by Rashid Davis, and he brings it out to the 28-yard line. An interception by Woodson on a first down throw by Cutler. And he brings it back to the 38-yard line. A poorly thrown ball by Cutler.
I don't know if Jay Cutler thought Knox was going to fade back to get this, but they're clearly not on the same page. He's expecting a ball down the field where it looks like the throw was intended to be more of a fade stop or a back shoulder. I've got no answer for this one. I can't imagine what one or the other thought the ball was supposed to be, but I know they didn't think it was supposed to go to Charles Woodson. What a year he's having, Tom. Charles Woodson, if he's not the defensive MVP, someone's going to have to make a heck of a case.
See, the 44th career interception for Woodson. 27 of those 44 have come as a Green Bay Packer. First down carry by Grant. That'll be a gain of close to 9. And for Woodson this season, that is his 9th takeaway. 8 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. He has 2 sacks. He's their 3rd leading tackler and has 4 forced fumbles. How good has he been?
And it's been a rebirth for him here in Green Bay. Really become a true professional. And when people talk about him here in Green Bay, it's with great affection.
Ahman Green, his first carry, took a vicious hit just as he received the handoff from Mark Anderson, a 3rd down for Green Bay.
And this is what Green Bay wants. Their efficiency on first down is what gives them these convertible 3rd down situations. They're 5th in the league in 3rd down conversion, and you have this shorter 3rd down distance to go. You're going to do well in this league.
3rd and 3. Good protection this time. And Rodgers, for the first time in seemingly a month, missed a wide open receiver, Jermichael Finley, at the 15.
He had to pull that back down because of the depth of the linebackers. Again, Finley is becoming a big go-to guy in this offense because of his size, his athleticism. And that one, you know, Aaron Rodgers would like to have back. This field goal's got some depth on it, some length on it here now.
And all of a sudden, they're going to break into an offensive formation. That's Matt Flynn, the backup quarterback, who is the holder. And timeout is called by Chicago. Well, after having a chance to talk about it, the Packers are going to go for it with their regular quarterback and offensive unit on a 4th and 3 at the Bears 33. Packers 1 of 7 on 4th down attempts this year. Blitz coming. Rodgers will run for a first down. That's one of the overlooked parts of Rodgers' game. He is the leading rusher among all quarterbacks in the NFL.
You know, it was interesting, Tom, when we visited with the Packers. Here you're just going to see nothing down the field. Aaron Rodgers, who's got a great pocket presence, steps up, doesn't like what he sees, gets outside. And what's interesting, Tom, Aaron Rodgers dropped in the draft because people questioned his athleticism. And one of the things you hear now about Aaron Rodgers is how well he moves the pocket, what a good athlete he is.
Grant to the 20. That'll be a gain of 3.
Ryan Grant's one of those guys that you love as a coach. He's got great body lean. And what I mean by that is a guy that keeps his pads over his feet, is always going downhill. Yeah, he may not crank off the big runs, but you don't get into a lot of 2nd and 12s, 2nd and 13s with Ryan Grant. He's always going to get some type of positive yardage.
Of course, he did give you the big one on the first play from scrimmage today, that 62-yard touchdown run. Ahman Green, the all-time leading rusher in Packers franchise history, very close to another first down.
Yeah, this is just what you want as the Packer. Pretty good. Now, obviously, the interception leads to it. You get the extra series with regards to the Green Bay Packers, and that lack of efficiency by Chicago in terms of the turnovers, the penalties, makes it an awful tough hill to climb.
A tight end, 2 fullbacks, Green the tailback on 3rd and a yard, and Ahman Green has a first down. Close to the 10. And the seconds will check off, ending the opening quarter at Soldier Field. A balmy 37 degrees. That's up 2 degrees from game time.
Warming trend. Global warming in evidence right there, right here in Chicago.
A first down for the Packers, looking to add to a 10-0 lead at the Chicago 10-yard line. Ryan Grant cuts it back to the inside. He's down to the 6. That'll be a gain of 4. Our game summary, you can pretty much take out the bottom part of that summary. It's all Packers so far.
Yeah, the big play by Ryan Grant, the interception that's leading to this drive right now. Chicago just hasn't done much right in this first quarter. They really are lucky it's only 10-0 right now. That's Finley out here again looking for this matchup.
False start. Offense number 65. 63. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's Mark Tauscher, the right tackle.
And Mike McCarthy, you know, a coach when you get the moniker of the most penalized team in the league, it's kind of a code for lack of discipline. That's why as a coach you absolutely hate it. This is a good football team. It's a disciplined football team. But that, you can look at his face right now. That frustration of, look, this can get us beat. This can cost us. We're playing a really good football team.
Empty backfield on 2nd and 10. Donald Lee, the tight end. Tackled by Alex Brown down at the 9-yard line. This is a very young Green Bay team. In fact, for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, the youngest team in the entire NFL. Could that have anything to do with all the penalties?
It does, but we're deep enough into the season. You young guys, grow up quick, because the penalties cannot go on, and I'm sure that's the message that Mike McCarthy and the veteran players. Now, the last guy offsides, 10-year veteran Mark Tasher. So, you're going to spread the wealth, so to speak.
Third down, incomplete. Threw it in between Finley and Donald Driver on the crossing route. So again, rather than a touchdown, the Packers will have to settle for a field goal try.
And we saw that efficiency in the red zone, those numbers earlier with Aaron Rodgers. So in a small way, yeah, this is the last 2 times down the field. Chicago stepped up and held them to field goals. So now you're still within a 2-score game. Now it's incumbent upon the Bears offense. Come on, you got to hold up your end of the bargain here.
26-yard field goal try for Crosby, who's been in a bit of a slump. And he's able to thread that one through. Second quarter just underway at Soldier Field in Chicago, and the Packers with a 13-0 lead over the Bears. Danielle Manning from the 4. Brings it out to the 27-yard line. Minnesota trying to go to 11-2 and get closer to nailing down the NFC North. The Bengals clinch a playoff spot. In fact, they clinch the division title with a win and a little bit of help later in the day. Cutler under heavy pressure throws it away.
Tom, part of the difficulty for the Chicago Bears, when you're second to last in the league in rushing, you're not real effective on first down, so that leads to a lot of 3rd and longs, and you're playing average defense. This has been the dilemma for Lovie Smith. You really don't have anything to hang your hat on, and so where do you go to? What's your strength? What can we rally around? And that's what I see as the biggest problem with the Bears right now. And if you can't get it up against the longest rivalry in all of pro football, I'm not sure when you're going to get it up.
Cutler with a 3rd and 8. Steps up, throws. There was contact there between A.J. Hawk and Earl Bennett, but no flag. Of course, Cutler came under fire just this week for all the complaining he's done to the officials the entire year, and he's at it again.
Well, you can see Bennett right here. He's just going to run basically a little out to the top. Fades away, and I don't know. Yeah, a little contact's a little early there. Maybe the hands up in the air. Incidental contact, no harm, no foul. Looked like the contact was before the ball got there.
Maynard punts already for the 3rd time today. The Packers should get excellent field position. Jordy Nelson takes it on 1 bounce. And that field position will be from their own 38-yard line. Early leaders offensively for Green Bay. Rodgers has hit on 50% of his passes, has struggled in the red zone, and of course he's done anything but that the entire year. Ryan Grant, a 62-yard touchdown run. And the Packers have the football from their own 39, leading 13-0. will shovel pass to Brandon Jackson out of the backfield, and an effective gain of 9. Grant picks up a first down to the Chicago 48-yard line. All right, going into play today, week 13 in the NFL. Division leaders in the NFC. New Orleans unbeaten. Minnesota atop the North. The Cardinals out west. Dallas with an 8-4 record, although that certainly hangs in the balance in a virtual tie with the Eagles. The Giants only one game back. And Green Bay, along with Philly, right now the wild card leaders. Things looking good for those two right now.
Right now, but again, it's Packers are knee deep in the NFC East because that's what they are a part of right now, because that's where the wild cards are going to come out of. The NFC East and the Green Bay Packers.
Grant still on his feet, plows forward for a gain of close to 5.
Mike McCarthy has done what he has always done to start out a game. He's the classic West Coast. You see a lot of people rolling through the game. He's probing that Chicago defense, how you're going to match up against this personnel grouping, that personnel grouping, and now is at the point in the game where he's going to start dialing those things up specific to the personnel groups and the defense he thinks he's going to get.
Ahman Green on a second down carry. Dropped at the 41. It'll bring up a third down and a long 2 for the Packers. Closing in on 9.5 minutes to play until halftime. And here comes some other fresh bodies.
Yeah, and what it causes a defense to do, it forces the defense to keep up with you. There's all of these different things defensive coordinators want to do, but if I'm having to constantly adjust to the people you're rolling through, you get that sense that the offense is now dictating a little bit more than you want.
They run it on 3rd and 3, and the Bears up to the task. The first man there, the middle linebacker, Hunter Hillenmeyer. So for the first time today, the Green Bay Packers will punt. And this one into the end zone. Not much good to talk about offensively thus far for the Bears, but only trailing 13-0. Now the Packers are pointing at the left side of that Bear offensive line.
False start. Offense number 74. 5 yards, still first.
Moving Williams over to the left side with the loss of Orlando Pace. And this is where his natural position is going to be. You can see right here just that little bit of flinch right there. Defense is going to react to it. They're going to call it every time. This is going to be their left tackle of the future. And have to do it a little bit better than that.
1st and 15. And a catch made by Aroma Shadu. Cutler 2nd and 7 finds Bennett across the middle. And he's to the 28-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and less than 2.
And they've got to find, and we talked about Devin Hester being out of the lineup, which now Johnny Knox is one that has been shown a little vertical threat for him, but they need to find that shot down the field. Otherwise, you're going to fall victim to what you see right there, a whole bunch of punts.
3rd and less than a yard. And Forte able to spin away. He was stopped behind the line of scrimmage, but stays on his feet and picks up a first down. And facetiously, the crowd at Soldier Field applauds the offense.
You get the sense that Chicago needs to maybe take a shot here pretty soon. I don't know. You saw the penalty to start the drive. not a lot of efficiency right now, not a lot of spark. They've got to do something, maybe take a shot down the field to try to change the emotional complexion of this game.
Blitz coming. Cutler gets it away. Aroma Shadu very close to another first down. That's good hard running after the catch by the third-year wideout out of Auburn.
And we expected to see a lot of quick passes coming out of the Bear offense early. The Green Bay Packers do a lot of things, and they can make it very complex for you. So one of the things to do to negate that rush and that complexity, do simple three-step drop protections and routes that allow your quarterback to get the ball out of his hands quickly with a high level of efficiency.
I know that you have wondered about, I'm not going to say lack of production, but why not more production out of the tight end position? Because you felt like with the uncertainty at wide receiver before this season ever began, a go-to guy, that the tight ends would be an even bigger part of the Chicago offense.
Well, you always have to have a go-to guy. When you saw Chicago to start the season, that was the question. Who was it going to be? Devin Hester, big play down the field, but not necessarily a number one receiver. I thought they had it in their tight end core with Greg Olsen and Desmond Clark, who between the two of them had 90 receptions. They got the first down. They had 90 receptions last year. When you can have two tight ends in the game of that caliber at any time, you're a two tight end offense. You're a two-back offense, putting one in the backfield. You're a three wides offense, taking a Greg Olsen and shifting him outside. You present some complexity to the defense. I'm a little surprised they haven't tried to capitalize on that more. I know Desmond Clark has been hurt, but they've got an excellent Kellen Davis in behind it. I think that's a personnel grouping that should be probed a little bit more.
Early movement again up front for Chicago.
False start. Offense number 82. 5-yard penalty is still first.
That's Olsen. Boy, this is ugly.
Well, you just don't see a sense of urgency or focus with a team that is not out of the playoff yet. And I know at 5-7 it's a reach, and we already saw the lineup of the NFC and what had to happen. But to hold on to that challenge of, yes, we could still make the playoffs, you don't see that urgency and focus so far.
The first down and 15, they set up the screen to Forte. What a play. Made by Nick Barnett. He's come all the way back from that ACL injury a season ago and is playing like a Pro Bowler. You can't draw it up defensively any better than that.
Great recognition right here, Nick Barnett. He sees right now on a screen, you've got to see, react, and transition and beat the pulling guard to the punch. And that's exactly what he did. The minute he saw it as a screen, he beat the guard to the point of attack. Excellent play by Nick Barnett on a screen.
Blitz coming. Cutler lost it to Olsen. Olsen looking for a flag that never came.
Well, the ball was out of bounds, but Jared Bush was all over Greg Olsen, had him covered underneath with help over the top. That was just a desperation throw by Jay Cutler, a hope against hope that the athletic Greg Olsen could get up and come down with the ball. Of course, the ball landed out of bounds.
So now third down and 18. Green Bay thinking about a stop here and getting one more shot at it with their offense before the half.
If they hand off a draw or a screen, they may storm the gates here.
They're going to throw it. Cutler looking around. Fires to Johnny Knox, first down. And the rookie is to the 36-yard line.
All right, you've got to break. All right, now the energy's got to pick up. Get back into the huddle. Again, maybe the place to dial up a vertical shot down the field. Take emotional control back of this game. Right now it's all going Green Bay's way, but they're not just going to hand it over to you. Do something here to get the locals fired up.
Gain of 28 on the reception by Knox. They spotted at the 37, and again Cutler to throw. Look into the end zone. And nearly intercepted by Woodson. It should have been his second pick of the day. That's just underthrown ball.
Yeah, he's got pressed man coverage, but against Charles Woodson, and I know the young man out of Auburn, they think some good things about it. Look at the technique of Charles Woodson. He knew exactly where he was on the field. He became a receiver at this point. I'm sure he's disappointed he didn't get the interception, but he was in contact with the receiver the entire way, knew exactly where he was and what he needed to do to break that up.
Forte. What a play by Woodson again. These are the kinds of plays. I mean, the interception, it's a highlight reel as Woodson is down. But when you watch a guy make plays like this, these are the ones that you say, how is anybody going to be the defensive MVP before this guy?
Now, they just went vertical on you. Now I'm going to transition to the run, give my body up to get the stop. Those are the things Charles Woodson, maybe early in his career, was not doing. Because a lot of corners would say, look, I get paid to cover guys. I don't get paid to throw my body around. That's part of the transformation that has happened with Charles Woodson right now. And again, he's squarely my vote for the defensive MVP of the league.
Cutler on third down, steps up and zings it across the middle. Romashadu, that is the first down to the 17.
Now I want you to watch Jay Cutler in the pocket here. Right now, he's throwing what he sees. And Jay Cutler has, when he has the time, there's no one has ever questioned his arm strength. The difficulty is he can throw only what he sees. He sees the hole coming open, the anticipation of the receiver getting into the hole, they're not there yet. So he's having to hold the ball a little longer than you'd like, but there's no question he's got the arm strength to get the ball in there.
Empty backfield on first down, and Cutler sacked by Clay Matthews. 8th sack of the year for the rookie out of USC, and of course the son of longtime NFL great with the same name.
This is the reverse side of what I was just talking about, Tom. Again, particularly in the red zone, I got to wait. I want to wait to be sure, and now the pocket begins to collapse around me. That's the difficulty right now for the Chicago Bears. Jay Cutler can only throw what he sees because I don't know that he fully trusts his receivers yet.
Well, for the first time today, something to get excited about from the Chicago offense. First 4 possessions, 11 plays, 35 yards. 11 plays alone on this drive. And at the 2-minute warning, Cutler to throw to the end zone. No. Earl Bennett went into the air and appeared to get just 1 foot in bounds in the back of the end zone.
Throw like that is all about timing. It's about getting the ball early enough up and give the receiver a chance to come down with it in the end zone. We'll take a look here. Got 1 foot down. No, I'm not sure he had control. You saw the bobble near the end there. Not sure he had control of the ball sufficiently going to the ground.
Well, there is a challenge on the field. This is not a challenge by Lovie Smith. This is a booth review. And Mike Carey.
The receiver controlled the ball, got 1 foot down. Then his shin hit out of bounds before the second foot. Incomplete pass. The ruling on the field is confirmed. 3rd down.
Mike Carey adding a little drama for the crowd here to give him a little bit of hope. But what he's talking about is the left foot hits, and then before any other act, the shin hits out of bounds before the left foot comes down. Plus there was movement of the ball late. Clearly the right call. Falling out of bounds, different than the first one, in my opinion. A good call by the officials there. 3rd and long for the Chicago Bears.
And of course, Cutler has struggled mightily inside the red zone this season with those 5 interceptions. What a throw here, though. And this is a touchdown to Johnny Knox. So Cutler comes right back and throws a dart to the rookie out of Abilene Christian to get Chicago on the board for the first time.
And it's those kind of throws that only a handful of guys can make. Right here, Johnny Knox on the outside, just a fade to the outside. I'm not sure he didn't get away with just a little bit of a nudge late. Just the subtlest of push off. That's a big time throw. It's what gives you that hope when you see a Jay Cutler play.
Point after is good by Rob Gold. For Johnny Knox, his 5th touchdown reception of the season. And now flags come down. Words back and forth. Some pushing and some shoving. And the Packers are saying that a Chicago Bear started all this. Mike Carey to tell us.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. The offense number 65. That foul will be assessed on the kickoff.
Boy, that's the long snapper, Patrick Manley. 65 right in the middle.
Clearly afterwards, things get rolled up here. Boy, if it was him, he wasn't much of a position to do it. He must have reached up and kicked at somebody. Guy was on his back. Whatever it was now, kicking off, this is going to give the Green Bay Packers some excellent field position with just under 2 minutes. We're at 1:48. They got 2 timeouts left. This should give them excellent field position to come back and try to get at least one more score on.
Some may be wondering how Cutler can have 87 yards passing on a drive which lasted 80 yards. That's because of a couple of penalties that took place during that drive. So very good work by the 4th-year quarterback out of Vanderbilt. His first, of course, as a Chicago Bear. Has 18 touchdowns on the season to go with 21 interceptions. We'll take a look where Jordy Nelson is standing as this kickoff is coming from the 15-yard line. Cutler, a chance to celebrate for the first time today.
This is a big advantage for Green Bay now. Chicago gets a little emotion, nice drive, overcome a couple things. If they can come right back now and get themselves into even field goal position, can stem some of that emotional tide that Chicago's got going right now.
Jordy Nelson from the 20. And pretty doggone good coverage right there by the Bears. All right, 1:42 left. As Brian mentioned, Green Bay 2 timeouts to play with leading up to the half. Good protection. Donald Driver, a very short gain on first down to the 39-yard line.
And what Green Bay, like everybody does, they put their 3 receivers always to the wide side of the field. So they shuffle around and end up with one guy on the backside because that's where all their combinations come from.
Rodgers sacked by Tommy Harris.
And this amounted to what amounted to a 3-man rush. Very frustrating in a 2-minute situation when a 3-man rush can get to you. They end up peeling back. They end up with 4, but the one guy kind of gets pushed off and spy back. It is a 4-man rush, excuse me, but just stayed active and alive. And you got 5 on 4 in a 2-minute situation. I know they can lay their ears back and go. Again, sacks have been the one lone nemesis offensively for the Green Bay Packers.
Play clock down to 1. Rodgers gets it off out of the backfield. It's Brandon Jackson. And he's very close to a first down. It looked like Green Bay had all but conceded any thought of trying to get down the field. They did huddle up, letting the clock run. But after that completion to Jackson, maybe they think twice. Now a timeout is called by Green Bay.
And with 21 seconds and a timeout left, you're in great position now. You're looking at least of about 20 yards, all but a long field goal, but at least 20 yards to get yourself into field goal shape. And with 21 seconds and a timeout, plenty of opportunity to do that.
our game summary. Aaron Rodgers has not been as sharp today as he has been pretty much the entire year. He's hit on 7 of 11. Grant a big rushing day thus far, including a 62-yard touchdown, and Cutler very good on that last Chicago drive, a touchdown pass to Johnny Knox. Well, Mason Crosby has only hit 1 field goal all year long from 50 yards and beyond. Across the middle, that's Jermichael Finley, and the ball is loose. Danielle Manning has it. And Chicago with a turnover. Brandon Jackson is saying he has the ball, stripping it away from Manning. But I think this is going Chicago's way. What a huge turnover that is, because Finley had more than enough yardage to give him a chance at a field goal.
Well, this Finley coming out of the middle here. It will be interesting to see. I want to see if indeed he has control to the ground. Again, the ground, nope, the ball was clearly out, so that's clearly a fumble and a clear recovery by Chicago. You're absolutely right, Tom, that they were in field goal position, in that position as I talked about, taking back the emotional tide back from Chicago. And right now, and the fans are not loving this, but what else are you going to do with 8 seconds on the clock?
Take a knee. So the Bears defense, well, hold on a minute.
Timeout. Green Bay, their third and final. A 30-second timeout.
Starting to say for Chicago, when all is said and done, Brian, you look at this first half. Their defense, in a couple of critical drives, able to hold Green Bay to field goals rather than touchdowns. And then after that last scoring drive for the Bears, and they're very much in this thing.
And as critical as we may be, or as I may be, about what Chicago has and is doing, you're exactly right. It is a 1-score game. And this is a very good Green Bay Packer team. And that can't be overlooked. Chicago has had its struggles, but right now, going in at half, it hasn't been pretty, but a 1-score game. You've got to feel relatively good about that.
Well, the Packers are 8-1 when leading at halftime this season. The Bears, meanwhile, only 1-7 when trailing at the half. Their only win was back in Week 3 at Seattle, when they trailed by a similar score, ironically enough, of 13-7.
And I think what we've seen from Chicago, and as much struggles as Jay Cutler has had, they've moved the ball, particularly out of the gun, when they've allowed them to throw the ball. Now, you may want to play good defense. Yeah, you want to establish the run, and you got to keep pushing and shoving, but you haven't done it pretty much the entire year. I'm not sure the Bears aren't in a position where they shouldn't just let Jay Cutler loose. What are you going to do, throw another interception? I mean, at some point over the next 4 games, they've got to find out what they've got, whether they're a legitimate playoff team or not, and then what they got to learn something about themselves as a team over the next 4 weeks to determine what they need to address in the offseason.
Packers will get it to begin the second half, and kicked out of bounds by Robbie Gould. Not the way you want to get it started.
Kickoff out of bounds. We placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
Of course, the most famous one of those in the football world occurred a week ago yesterday, when Nebraska's kicker kicked it out of bounds against the Texas Longhorns, giving Colt McCoy one chance. His team kicked a field goal to advance to the national championship game.
Wow, and it's, you know, as a coach, you could go out and choke the kid to death, and not a court in America would convict you because of the consequences.
Spencer Havener in motion. They pitch it to Ryan Grant to begin the second half. And he got back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe picked up a half yard. Wrapped up by Anthony Adams.
The Chicago Bear defense, again, because of some of the injuries, has had to adjust and change the profile just a little bit. You know, the rushing here of the Green Bay Packers, that needs to be a priority, obviously, but their real strength is obviously throwing the ball down the field.
Second down and 10. They drop it off to Grant out of the backfield. Cuts it back to the inside. Boy, he looked like he'd be bottled up for a yard or two loss, and turns it in to nearly an 8-yard gain. That's good running by Ryan Grant.
And you can see what I was talking about earlier in terms of his pad level. You're right, he was bottled up there, but he was going to get something just by keeping his pads down the field. Look at the body lean I'm talking about now. He is a downhill runner right here. He's ready to take on the hits and get as much yards as he possibly can.
They called a gain of 7, so 3rd and 3. Show blitz, only a 4-man rush. Rodgers throws, and the catch is made by Greg Jennings, a first down to the 29-yard line.
And this is the familiarity of Aaron Rodgers and Greg Jennings. Here's that movement we talked about Aaron Rodgers in the pocket, feels a little pressure, keeps his eyes downfield. He and Greg Jennings, watch Greg Jennings here. He knew exactly where that ball was going to come. Receivers on the DB is on the inside hip. He knew it was going to fall away over that back left side shoulder. That's the familiarity of Jennings and Aaron Rodgers.
24-yard gain to convert on 3rd down. Ahman Green checks in, but Cutler watches as Rodgers will throw. It's in the air. Is that a loose football? It is. Rodgers bobbled it once, lost the handle a second time into the arms of Anthony Adams.
Now, is that 2 pass attempts? Because now he goes to throw the ball. It just comes out. He catches his own pass and tries to throw it up again. That may be 2 pass attempts, 1 completion, 1 interception. I got to tell you, that's one of the stranger plays I've seen. Nice heads-up play, staying alive. And now, obviously, Green Bay had control emotionally coming out. We're going to drive right down the field, take that emotion back from the Chicago Bears, and now they got an opportunity to do the same thing.
On 1st down, they give it to Forte. And he is stopped immediately by Clay Matthews after a 2-yard gain. Forte in the opening half, very quiet. Only 15 rushing yards, but the turnover, the first career interception for the big fella in the middle, Anthony Adams.
Now looking at him, is that a surprise?
No.
Did you expect this was going to be his 5th career interception? And he's excited about it, that's for sure.
Forte again, better running room this time, and he is very close to a first down. It looks like he got it to the Packer 46-yard line.
And Chicago committed to a large degree to this 2-back running offense. They're going to roll the tight ends. We talked in earlier about the depth and talent at their tight end core, but they truly believe in their fullback dominated run offense. They're going to put Mookie at fullback. The problem I have with it, predominantly a 2-back offense, unless that fullback is really a good athlete, you really become one-dimensional in terms of what you're going to do. You're going to downhill run, maybe play fake off of it. With the tight end, you have a lot more latitude, but they're committed, again, playing good defense, run the ball. I'm not sure they wouldn't be better served to roll those tight ends through, but right now they're moving the ball with their 2-backs.
So it was good enough for a first down. And Cutler surveys the landscape on 1st down. Short drop, quick throw. Aroma-Shadu close to another first down. Aroma-Shadu, his 5th catch of the afternoon. Came in with a grand total of 2 catches all year long. And for those of you just joining us, he replaces the injured Devin Hester in the Chicago lineup today.
And he and Knox both have the kind of speed you've got to respect, that when you get into a single coverage defense, you better back up just a bit.
Forte slips through a couple of would-be tacklers and has a first down to the 31-yard line.
we're getting in that area of the field for Chicago in particular. They may continue to run the ball. If they do throw the ball, it's apt to be off a play-action pass because you need to move both the safeties and the linebackers because why? As we approach the red zone, areas get reduced a little bit.
Looking for Knox, who came back to get it and makes a catch inside the 15-yard line. Step for step with him was Woodson, but then Cutler threw it behind him to come make the catch.
Just the same throw we saw on Green Bay with Rodgers and Jennings. He knew this was going to be a back shoulder throw. Looks like a possible arm bar by Woodson. Nice job. The nuance of that throw, that takes a lot of work. Jay Cutler checked to that. They brought up the 8th man in the box. He saw pressure one-on-one. You got to give him great respect for challenging Charles Woodson on one-on-one with a back shoulder throw.
And now the Bears looking for the corner, thrown behind the receiver again. That's a touchdown. Aroma-Shadu. Beautifully thrown passes by Cutler.
Yeah, this is a beautiful throw, but right here on the matchup here, this is a great catch. This is hard to do. Yeah, it's back shoulder, but he has to fall away and almost lay himself out just a little bit and have the body control to come down. That's an outstanding catch.
First career touchdown for Devin Aroma-Shadu. Point after is good. Devin Aroma-Shadu in 12 career games coming into play today had 7 career receptions. Well, he has 6 of them in this game for 63 yards and his first career touchdown. Jordy Nelson from the 5 and dropped to the 25. Green Bay with a football at their own 25-yard line, trailing 14-13 with 9:30 to play in the third quarter. And a flag comes down. Early movement, it looked like.
Full start. Offense number 86. 5 yards, first down.
That's Donald Lee, the tight end. By the way, an official ruling was made on the turnover by Aaron Rodgers on their last possession. Rather than 2 pass attempts, that's a fumble. He recovered. The second one ruled a fumble. So take away the first career interception for the big fella.
Oh, that's not right.
Anthony Adams.
Give it back to him. What the heck?
Officially a fumble recovery for Adams. Ryan Grant on first down. A gain of 6, 2nd and 9. Weather really not a factor at all today. Had a little bit of snow early in the week. Field conditions pretty doggone good.
Yeah, the field, I was down on it before the game. It was a little damp, but I don't think to the point where it's going to affect the game. They don't seem to be having any trouble with it.
Rodgers flips it to Grant. And what a tackle made by Kevin Payne. Hillenmeyer applying the pressure to Rodgers.
And when we talk with the Bears on Friday, you're going to see Hillenmeyer coming right from the linebacker position. But when we talked to the Bears on Friday, you got the sense they felt like they could get to Aaron Rodgers, much like they did the first game. And they have put very good pressure on the Packers so far today.
3rd and 10. Down the middle of the field, a first down reception made by Jennings to midfield. That is a huge 3rd down conversion for Green Bay.
And that's the sign of a good team when you can overcome some of the early things that started in this drive. You find yourself on a long 3rd and long, and Aaron Rodgers, really kind of like a fall-away jumper off his back foot, is able to put in an accurate pass like that to Greg Jennings.
Grant for a couple of yards.
You know, I talked in the open, Tom, about as I had a chance to look at these Green Bay Packers, what impressed me the most was how diverse a group of athletes he had. You know, you look at these numbers and you look at the 2 tight ends together. These are their current numbers. They're on a pace to have 2 receivers and a tight end combo of being over 70 catches each. That's great diversity in a passing attack. That's a winning formula.
And they have a back that's rushed for over 1,000 yards. Donald Driver, who of course is the all-time Packer leader in career receptions, 2nd in yards to James Lofton.
And how impressed, Tom, I know you were like I was with Donald Driver when we sat down with him yesterday. We looked at those numbers about the diversity of the passing attack. Many times you're going to have receivers that are upset because they're not getting theirs. That doesn't exist. These guys just want to win, and the veteran Donald Driver sets the pace for that receiving corps in that way.
3rd and 4. Blitz coming. And overthrown is James Jones. He had beaten Ofalava down the far sideline, but another stop defensively for Chicago. Green Bay will punt.
And Aaron Rodgers went right after the matchup. They had Jones, the receiver, on the outside, one-on-one with the safety. That was the best matchup he had. You got to give the Bears credit for being aggressive and being willing to put into that kind of a position.
Again, Earl Bennett returning punts today with Devin Hester out with a calf injury.
Chicago showing pressure, then backs out.
Go get that.
Campanos has it bounce into the end zone. Quarterback numbers nearly identical in terms of completions attempts. They are identical, 141 yards. But Cutler heating up his last 2 possessions. A couple of touchdown throws. And now a 1st down completion to the tight end Desmond Clark, playing for the first time in a month after injuring his neck.
You know, the amazing thing, Tom, we talked about, all the numbers said this was going to be a Green Bay blowout. They're where they're headed the playoffs with the Bears. But we also said what? This is a long-time rivalry, and that rivalry is real for both teams. And right now we're talking a 1-point game in the 3rd quarter.
In for the first time today, the rookie Khalil Bell. And he's chopped down, but not before he picks up a 1st down. At the 5-minute mark in the 3rd quarter, the Bears leading 14-13. Forte watches as Bell is hammered behind the line of scrimmage. Atari Bigby there to drag him down.
Well, the Green Bay defense, and it's very heralded coming in, like we said, came in, was the leading total defense in the league. Number 2 in turnovers. They got to kind of retake control of this game right now and shut down, in particular, this passing attack of the Chicago Bears. Because the last 2 series, the Bears have moved the ball very, very well.
Johnny Jolly shaken up on the play. We talked about Jolly, Jenkins, Raji, Pickett, all 4 injured this week during practice. Pickett unable to go today, and Jolly has to lead. 2nd down and 8 for Chicago. Johnny Jolly able to walk off the field and appears to be okay. Romashadu with another reception. He has as many catches today as he's had in his entire career.
Now what Green Bay's doing, they've got 2 down defensive linemen in this game, and they're having to use Matthews and Jones on the outside they're basically running a two-man front, and they're having to put Charles Woodson at basically a Sam linebacker because of the injuries that we talked about to that defensive line.
So a 3rd down and 1. Johnny Jolly back in the game. 1st down reception. Aromashodu yet again. What an unbelievable day this young man is having.
I got to tell you, when I was going, and you know how I can mess up names, Tom. I know that's a surprise to you.
Well, I'm messing up plenty myself. Don't worry about it.
When I saw this young man's name and I saw he got 7 career receptions, well, I'm not going to have to worry about having to pronounce Aromashodu because I don't know how much he's gonna show up today.
Nice.
He's and I'm going to let you call from here on out. But boy, what a day he's having.
Khalil Bell to midfield on a 1st down carry. Aromashodu came out of Auburn, was drafted in the 7th round by the Dolphins in 2006. They let him go before the season began. The Colts signed him to their practice squad where he spent the entire year. They brought him back the next year and then cut him. The Texans signed him, had him for all of 2 months, let him go. The Colts brought him back. And then the Redskins brought him on their practice squad. And for the final 3 games of last season, he wound up with the Bears. And here he is today, having a career day. Rashid Davis on the reception. That'll be a gain of close to 10.
Well, again, Chicago, we talked about Green Bay and Mike McCarthy rolling his personnel through. Chicago's doing a bit of it themselves now between the 2-back, the 3 wides, the 2 tight end. Here on a short yardage, they're 2-back, but they're rolling personnel through here themselves.
Bell, I'm not sure he got there.
Nick Barnett came up and just stuffed Bell right when he went to make his cut. Nice job. Barnett sees what's going on, pulls the trigger, and again, the quick recognition like we saw him do on the screen on a short yardage. Outstanding recognition coming up, and corner coming off the edge. Nice stop by the Green Bay Packers on 3rd and less than 2.
And I got to tell you, Brian, I don't blame this Bear crowd for their reaction. Lovie Smith deciding to punt rather than go for it. I know it's a 1-point game, and I guess you still have playoff hopes flickering. And nearly a disaster. That one punted into the end zone. A flag down. Are you surprised he didn't go for it?
A little bit, but right now you got to play it up as a straight-up game. But around midfield, you know, I'm going to punt it. I'm going to have faith in my defense. They've been playing pretty well. They've come up with turnovers. They've kept them out of the end zone. If you turn the ball over to Chicago right there on downs, you're putting them basically at midfield. We'll see what this flag is about.
And also remember the kicking team downfield, number 98. 5-yard field being forced from the end of the kick from the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Timeout.
Rodgers and the Packers trailing 14-13 with 1:15 to play in the 3rd quarter from Soldier Field in Chicago. And Rodgers to throw it on 1st down, and the catch made by Jermichael Finley across the middle. He's out to the 33.
Chicago beginning to ratchet up some of the pressure. Brought a safety off the weak side, Payne off that weak side. A lot more movement on the linebacking core of the Chicago Bears and the secondary, trying to get Aaron Rodgers to pause a little bit in his decision process.
On a 2nd and 2, here comes that pressure. And Rodgers lucky to get it away. Lance Briggs on top of him as soon as he took the snap.
And you can see now, right now, Rodgers is having to hesitate a little bit. Coming off that edge right now. Rodgers not totally sure about what Chicago's doing right now. You saw hesitation on the secondary. You see a free runner like that, in this case Briggs, you realize, nope, there was a mistake. Someone didn't get the check or the audible that Aaron Rodgers had to go to because of the different looks that the Chicago Bears are giving Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers right now.
Four-man rush. Incomplete. Finley looking for a flag and didn't get it.
Again, Lovie Smith in Chicago bringing the backers up early, spying them out, running out, Payne getting that's the kind of ball that gets tipped and turned over. Right now, Chicago ratcheting up the different looks, and it's got Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers a little unsure about what they're doing.
Capanos puts a left foot on it. Returnable for Bennett. But real good closing speed on the coverage by Jarrett Bush. Final seconds of the third quarter. Forte back in the game for the Bears. They play fake to him, and Cutler looks down the field, throws to Forte. A late flag comes in after a 3-yard gain on first down.
Illegal hands to the face. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Been a rough day for Chris Williams.
Well, he's having to deal with Clay Matthews coming off that edge. Clay Matthews leads the Green Bay Packers. You can see right here Clay Matthews on the left side. He's got kind of one move. He's just a pure energy guy here. That happens by happenstance. That was not by design. You start to put your hands on the breastplate, all of a sudden it's up in the face mask. Anytime you see the helmet lift like that, the officials are going to call it.
In the opening quarter, this looked like a blowout in favor of Green Bay. But Cutler and the Bears on their final possession of the first half get a touchdown, and then a second in the third quarter to take the lead. We begin the fourth quarter on a carry by Forte, and he's out to the 30-yard line.
This is just a downhill, simple as a screwdriver ISO now. It's a nice move by Forte. Clearly not having the season that he had last year. His receptions are about the same, but the yards, he was a 1,200-yard plus guy last year. He's not going to get close to that this year, but still a good, smooth athlete that carries his pads very, very well.
Cutler has hit on his last 8, make it 9. Reception by Olsen, and a good open field tackle made by Bigby. Pretty quiet day for Aaron Rodgers. Yes, 14 out of 21 for 149 yards. He turned it over on a fumble, has not thrown a touchdown pass. And we mentioned Cutler, now 9 for his last 9. And after an early pick, has thrown a pair of touchdown passes. 3rd and 5.
Well, we said third down was an area the Bears were going to have to improve on to stay with the Packers. This is a very convertible third and medium for the Bears.
Blitz coming. Cutler gets it away, and it's intercepted. Streaking down the sideline is Nick Collins. And really the beat goes on for Cutler. He's had a couple of nice drives in this game, but interception after interception the entire year.
Well, you can see now once he gets to it, he's waiting. He and the receiver clearly on the same page. He thought something was going to happen. For that late a throw, a cat blitz, that means corner blitz off the weak side. He had to think Knox was going to pull up earlier, or I don't know. Again, that's like the first interception. I'm not quite sure what he thought, but he and Knox clearly not on the same page, and this is just the killer. These types of interceptions have been what have killed the Chicago Bears, and more specifically Jay Cutler, all year long.
So now Green Bay a golden chance to take the lead. A first down isolation to Jermichael Finley, and he's inside the 5. For Cutler, 2 more interceptions today. The 6th game this year where he has thrown 2 interceptions or more and more picks with still 3 games to go than any quarterback wearing a Bears uniform since 1949. Wow.
And right now, he's regardless of how confident you are in your abilities, you got to be questioning things in your own mind. That's the crisis of conscience a quarterback will go through at any given time.
Rodgers to Driver. Flag comes in. Zachary Bowman was with him in the end zone. It goes against Bowman and the Bears.
This kind of late contact in the end zone. This is tough on a DB here at the left side of the screen. There's contact, obviously the 5-yard rule is kind of off. You get this far down, but he stays tied up. Actually played the ball pretty well.
Yep.
But when you have your hands inside that long, I don't know quite what else you could tell the young man to do, but it's going to get called like that every time.
The 1st and goal at the 1. Grant to the end zone, touchdown.
Now's going to be the challenge for that Bear team here, just again straight downhill. Looks like, yeah, clearly his body, I'm not sure he ever got to the ground. He's laying on bodies there, so that's clearly a touchdown. Going for a 2-point play. Obviously the differential, you're talking about a 5-point differential. The chart, although you're not this late in the 4th quarter, a little surprised that go for it here, but the chart does say go for 2.
And they get to Greg Jennings. On the 2-point conversion, Aaron Rodgers took a big hit. Ooh, that right knee. Tommy Harris on the tackle, but Rodgers got right up and apparently no problem.
Yeah, and with all the, they've cleaned it up a little bit, but with all the sacks they've given up, that's what you worry about, is the cumulative hits on your quarterback and the toll that takes on him and on his body.
So a 7-point Packers lead. Rashid Davis fields a kickoff and brings it out to the 29-yard line. Brian, you were talking a moment ago about, as a head coach, the chart, which helps you decide, do I go for the point after or do I go for 2 points?
And the numbers are easy. That was a 5-point spread. 2 points take it to 7. And they weren't wrong for going for it. What it comes down to is how many possessions in a 10-minute, 12-minute time frame can they get, and you could take that out and say, well, there's the field goals, there's a touchdown. Usually you wait until midway through the late of the 4th quarter to go to the chart to decide whether to go for 2 or not.
A 1st down carry by Forte, and he picks up a couple of yards. Well, a huge turnover again by Cutler, his 2nd interception on the afternoon, turned into 10 points, a field goal early, a touchdown a moment ago.
And they've got to look at Cutler, Jay Cutler specifically in this Bear team, as an opportunity now to overcome that. How great would it be now to come back after that mistake, regain control of the game and the score? That's the attitude they have to have.
Gain of 3 by Forte, so a 2nd and 7. And Cutler is sacked. Johnny Jolly, and a flag comes in. Did Jolly get a part of Cutler's face mask on the sack?
Personal foul, major face mask, defense number 97. 15-yard penalty in the spot of the foul, automatic. First chance.
And you can see here, clearly he gets the face mask. The question becomes, as Jay Cutler steps up in the pocket, Jolly coming in from behind, and now just a full grasp. When you see the face mask and the helmet jerk down that hard, it's going to be a major call.
That is now 16 personal fouls whistled against Green Bay this season, the most in the NFL. Cutler guns it across the middle. And was it intercepted? It was tipped into the air. And no, the ball hit the ground before Bigbie was able to get his hands underneath it.
And this is where you get to the point, particularly this point of the game and this point of the season for Jay Cutler, where the confidence, I'm just going to keep throwing it in. That was a well-thrown ball, excuse me. Hit him right in the chest and the hands, pops out. Possible interception obviously doesn't happen, but you got to give Jay Cutler at least credit for this. He's going to keep chucking it around.
Oh, yeah. On a 2nd and 10, he'll chuck it again. And a good throw here to Olsen, and that is a first down to the Green Bay 44.
And Green Bay has gotten into a bit of a passive mode in their secondary with the idea that, okay, go ahead and run the ball, throw the ball underneath. We're not going to give you that one big play to get it down the field. And they're very good at not giving up big plays, but they're going to have to go back to doing what Dom Capers does best. Keep changing these things up. Give Jay Cutler a different look, because if he starts to get comfortable here all but late in the game, he can tear you up.
Bell ran in his own back. Bell drops it off for Jason McKee out of the backfield, and good coverage there and a tackle by A.J. Hawk.
They brought Charles Woodson on a cat blitz, and you're going to see him come off the screen. Excuse me, I got to get these arrows right. And a cat blitz is nothing more than a corner coming off the backside. You can see him show up in your frame right now. That's what caused Jay Cutler to pull the ball back down, because he wasn't sure whether his protection was going to hold him up or not.
Good protection this time. He had an eye on Olsen, and step for step with him was Jared Bush.
Little bumping and shoving going down late. I think it knocked Olsen off his stride. Jay Cutler thought he had him going down the rail there. Would have been a huge play if he could have dropped that in.
We're under the 10-minute mark to play at Soldier Field in Chicago. These two teams, including one playoff game, meeting for the 179th time. A great rivalry and a good game.
And I think you may be in two-down territory here, so we could see an underneath throw as well.
Blitz coming, they pick it up. Cutler fires over the middle. I'm not sure who he threw it to. The closest to the football was Tramon Williams.
Yeah, that surprises me a little bit when you're 3rd and 10, obviously an uphill down in distance, particularly for the Bears. You're at this point in the game, he steps up. This is just one-on-one on the outside. This is just a deep end. They've already converted on a 3rd and long once with this, adjusting. For some reason, Knox goes outside. Cutler expected him to break inside like he did earlier when we had a big conversion on 3rd down.
Green Bay with the football, a long way to play at Soldier Field. Packers in front 21-14. And they hand it off to Ryan Grant. He broke one for 62 early in the game, and a late flag comes in. You can tack on 15 more at the end of the play. Afalava, the rookie, hitting Grant, it appeared, after he had stepped out of bounds.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 24. From the end of the run, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
And as he goes down the sideline, there's a reason there's this huge white stripe on the sideline. That's for the players to be able to pull off a little tight. I mean, you're in midair. It's hard to pull it off at that point. But something like that happens when a player is in the paint. It's going to get called. Right or wrong, it's going to get called.
I still want to hear your answer as a former great offensive coordinator in this league, and all the points and big numbers you guys had in Minnesota before you won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. But you said, you know, Cutler thought he was going one way, Knox went the other way. How does that happen?
Yeah, that was a deep 4 route, and that's one of those routes. Yeah, you have latitude on some plays where the receiver, okay, if he does this, I'll do that. On a deep route like that, if you've got an inside cut, you've got to stay on the inside cut. He's going, you know what? He's going to beat me inside. I'll just sit back here and my quarterback will find me. And the quarterback's going, no, I won't, man. I don't have time for that. I got people breathing down my neck. I put that one on the receiver. Now, should have Jay Cutler have forced it inside? That's a different question. But that's just not being on the same page as your receivers.
Rodgers across the middle, the big tight end, Jermichael Finley to the 25. In man-to-man coverage with Charles Tillman, and that throw right on the button.
They've been motioning Jermichael Finley all day across the formation and blocking him. Here now they just play action fake and bring him crossing the field. The Bears had stepped up to attack the run because that same formation and that same motion had been run all day. Nice play call by Mike McCarthy, setting up a big play down the field off the previous 3 quarters of play.
5 catches for 70 yards for the second-year tight end out of Texas. Back to the ground game, and Grant for 1. Well, you look in this NFC North, the young tight ends. Now, Shanko's been around for a while in Minnesota, but Finley with Green Bay, Olsen with Chicago, and the recently injured Brandon Pettigrew in Detroit. Some good ones.
And this is what you're finding out, you know, that you've got to have a dynamic tight end if you want to be a fully dimensional offense. And you're right, this is a great division for that. Each of those guys also now having to show that they can be a complete tight end and block as well as be receiving tight ends.
Grant just past the line of scrimmage. Tripped up by Lance Briggs, so a 3rd down upcoming for Green Bay. Grant, his 3rd 100 rushing yard game of the season. He's had 3 other games of 90 or more yards. It's his 12th career 100-yard game.
And half of that obviously coming on the one play to start the game for Green Bay, but doesn't belie the fact that they ran the ball well today, and that was a priority for them.
Dropped by Brandon Jackson. A 42-yard field goal try. This is a big one.
Yeah, that makes it a 2-score spread with 6 minutes to play.
Good snap. Good hold. Wide right. 8th missed field goal try for Mason Crosby this season. That one would have put his team ahead by 10. Instead, it's a 7-point game. A.J. Hawk stretching that to the outside, and right behind him to make the tackle, Nick Barnett.
Well, obviously, just the play calling dictated that we were going to go for the field goal to make it a 2-score spread. You don't get it with the missed field goal. Mike McCarthy knows just how vulnerable that's going to leave he and his team, because he called down there in that position with this field goal attempt specifically in mind, and Crosby couldn't convert.
So now Cutler and the Bears get the football with 5.5 minutes left to go, and on a 2nd down and 7. That'll be a hold as plain as day. Forget about this 1st down pickup by Forte. Chris Williams grabbed a hold of Clay Matthews, and Matthews.
Personal foul, major face mask, offense, number 74, 15 yards, still 2nd down.
Almost jerked his head off.
Yeah, on a screen play. He just got beat inside, you want to let the line come up the field on a screen pass, but not to the inside like that. Williams overset up top, got his hands on the face mask, and negated a big play. I don't believe Clay Matthews would have impacted the play even had he come clean. So just kind of a mental mistake on the part of Chris Williams.
Clay Matthews, the reigning NFC Defensive Player of the Week, for his outstanding game yet again against Baltimore. A couple of sacks, a forced fumble. Certainly will get many votes for the Defensive Rookie of the Year in the NFL this season. Cutler, what a throw and what a catch. And are they saying a catch? No. It looked like Olsen had it, and perhaps the ground jarred it loose, but the officials all over it said incomplete.
This is just the classic tight end down the middle with about a 20-yard. That's a beautiful throw. Greg Olsen having to bring that to the ground. Again, total control. Be interesting to see if Chicago indeed wants to challenge that. It looks like he had it to the ground but did not maintain control, and therefore it's not going to be a completion.
Well, the play clock can run all the way down to 7. Under 5 minutes to play, a 3rd and 22. Is Lovie Smith now going to challenge the call after burning a timeout? Boy, he better be sure that he's going to win this challenge. Otherwise, without any time having expired, he will lose 2 of his 3 timeouts in this half.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass being challenged by Chicago.
And that just comes from the indecision, deciding whether, and the guys up in the booth telling him that it's going to happen or not.
All right, there's a lot going on here. We can talk about the timeout situation in a minute, but the bottom line is this play on the field is being challenged. And now Mike Carey.
During the process of making the catch, the receiver was going to the ground. The ball came out immediately. Incomplete pass. The ruling on the field is confirmed. Chicago is charged with their 2nd team timeout.
And keep in mind, it was ruled an incompletion. And what Mike Carey is saying here is he did not complete the act. He has the catch. He's going down, but obviously not holding on to the ball long enough to complete the act of the catch. And it came out just as he was hitting the ground.
But of course, then you get back to the initial part of it all. You know, if you were going to have a chance of losing a timeout, why wouldn't you throw that flag before you took the first timeout? Now on 3rd and 22, they lay it off for Forte, and he is far short of a first down, dragged down by A.J. Hawk. And that one extra timeout could turn out to be an important timeout if the Bears can get the football back.
Right, because you're currently coming up on 4 minutes. If you get a 3 and out, even if you get a 3 and out, assuming that the Packers don't throw the ball much, try to suck some of this clock down, you're going to be approaching the 2 minute, maybe 2.5 minutes. That timeout could loom big.
Nelson going to let it bounce. The Bears are saying that hit a Packer. Nobody taking that bait. The ball down at the 27-yard line.
Packers here clearly in a 4-minute mode, which says bringing down as much clock as possible, let alone moving the ball. Run the ball, possible play action if you like the one-on-one matchup.
Ran a first down carry. Locked down at 3:50. The Bears have 1 timeout remaining. They had 3 timeouts remaining a minute ago.
And the Green Bay Packers, again, 4-minute offense, typically a 2 tight end, 2 back. Heavy run. Chicago's going to build the box to stop the run. That will leave a one-on-one matchup on the outside that Aaron Rodgers is going to like at some point. and may have to take advantage, because the last thing you want to do is 3 and out.
Grant out to the 37-yard line. He'll be a yard short of the first down. And now Chicago spends its final timeout of the game.
Now, right now, this was a good timeout. You only had the one left. This is just what you're alluding to, Tom. You had to use this timeout here because they were just going to suck this clock down, probably with a 2-minute warning after go ahead and getting one runoff. And so now you're going to at least hold that out for yourself now. But burning those 2 timeout earlier now have left you vulnerable. If they get a first down here, it's going to be tough.
Didn't look like he got it. They bring in Ahman Green. So we welcome those of you who watch New Orleans remain unbeaten. A tight win inside the division against Atlanta, 26-23 on a 3rd down and 1 for Green Bay, leading by 7. Chicago's defense stands tall. So with no timeouts remaining, the Bears hope to get the football back with one final try to tie. This is a big penalty. It's against Green Bay. Starting to say if that's against Chicago, this baby's over.
False start. Offense number 24. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
And in the scheme of things, obviously not a big penalty for Green Bay. But now Chicago's going to have decent field position here. Yeah, they're short of the timeouts, but they're going to get pick up a timeout with the 2-minute warning, obviously. So they'll be able to get a playoff here. Have a timeout via the 2-minute warning. See what they can do with it.
Capanos booms one, chasing Bennett back to the 18-yard line. Here comes a flag yet again. And a good return by Bennett up to the 27, but we wait on the penalty marker. We've already had 15 penalties in the game today.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 21. From the end of the kick, half the distance to the goal, they retain possession, first down.
Wow. So from the, 28-yard line, they're going to back them up to the 14.
Well, that's sporting on the part of the Chicago Bears now. 2:07, like I said, they're going to get one stoppage of the clock with the 2-minute warning, which would indicate, obviously, this is likely to be a pass to start off the series. 2 minutes. I mean, you practice 2 minutes all year long. You probably do it twice during the course of the week. They probably did it on Wednesday, maybe again on Friday, possibly Thursday. You do this twice a week, most teams. This is what you practice it for.
So now Jay Cutler on first down slings it to the outside. Johnny knocks the reception. He's to the 15, and that brings us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play at Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears with the football at their own 15, trailing by 7. And down goes Cutler. Back at the 6-yard line, a blitzing Tramon Williams takes him to the deck. Clock continues to run.
Classic Dom Capers defense, bring a corner blitz in the most critical of situations, leaving the Chicago Bear protection a man short.
3rd down at 11. Short throw to the 15-yard line, catch made by Knox, and now the Bears forced to go on 4th down and 4 yards to go.
Expect a slant, maybe an in at this point.
False start. Offense number 57. 5-yard penalty, Still fourth down.
That is a 13th penalty against Chicago today.
You're going to see a blitz coming out of this side right in here. Lake showing up off this corner, or cat blitz. Playing zone over the top. Cutler no place to go.
Well, 4th down and 9. Incomplete. Woodson nearly had another interception, and you can tie a ribbon around this one.
Charles Woodson now, again, for my money, the defensive MVP of the year. And keep in mind now, they've lost Al Harris. The combination of the two early was lethal. They lost Al Harris in the game we did with the San Francisco 49ers. Got to give the Packers a great deal of credit for staying with their package. Tramon Williams comes in, kind of fills that kind of responsibility that Al Harris did, and they're using Charles Woodson brilliantly. You're talking about a Heisman Trophy winner, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 8 Pro Bowler. I don't think he's ever played better.
Woodson now 33 years old, out of Fremont, Ohio.
And you know what? I think he's happy. I think maybe for the first time in his career, both personally and professionally, he's really happy. And I credit, and he has, Green Bay, the people there, the people that have mentored him, just the whole environment that he exists now in Green Bay.
Our game today produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Rich Dewey. Our associate director is Charles McDonald. Our broadcast associate Bill Cullen, and our technical producer is Bob Muller. We thank up here in the booth Scott Snyder, as well as Tom Barbary. And the final second ticks off, and the Green Bay Packers are now 9-4 on the year.